check one too. It is Monday, September 14th, 2020 at 2 p.m. The Auditor Selection Committee comes to order. City Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Chair Vice Mayor Andrews.
Here.
Mayor Hendricks.
Here.
Commissioner Hodges.
Here.
Commissioner Price.
Here.
Commissioner Douthard. Commissioner Douthard.
Okay, the first item is public comment. Mr. City Manager, do we have any public comment for today's meeting?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, excellent. First agenda item is the approval of the minutes. Is there any discussion amongst the board?
Nope.
Can I please get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. City Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Hodges.
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Andrews. Chair Andrews.
Yes.
Commissioner Price.
Yes.
The motion carried 4-0.
Okay, and the second and last item on the agenda is a review ranking for each request for proposal received from vendors for financial auditing services and make selection. I think probably the first thing I do want to say is, once again, I do want to add that I give a great deal of gratitude to the members that served on this committee prior. This is not a reflection on anything that they did. I think that this board, since March, has made a great stride to make sure that we do everything by the book and set an example going forward, and this is just really an example of that. So while this was not the most enjoyable task going through these things, and I think we'll find that out a little bit more as we go through it a little bit more, I do appreciate all of your efforts, and I think that it was a kind of a good learning experience for us too, to kind of go through. So with that said, I'll open the floor to anybody that wants to discuss any and all of these issues, and then we'll come up with a plan on how we finalize this and if we want to bring people in. Mr. Trask, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to make sure that you understood that you're sitting here as the Auditors Committee today, and obviously you are commissioners, but you are to pick pursuant to the state statute no less than, or it reads no fewer than 3 firms. And the way that works then is you'd provide these 3 firms to yourselves sitting as the commission at a regular commission meeting. And at the commission meeting, you could decide whether or not you want to interview those 3 firms, or at least 3 firms. If not, you want to just appoint one, you can do that. Then the negotiation process would start with that auditor. If you're unsuccessful, then you can move to the second in line if that's what you wanted to do. But we need to pick no less than 3 tonight, or today.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you clearly, our goal right now is to narrow this down to our top 3.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so let's have a little discussion amongst the board, but I mean, I can kind of look at the numbers here, and I expected them to be a little skewed because I think a lot of what you guys saw and what I saw, a lot of these things match up very carefully. One of my biggest concerns going in ended up not being a concern at all because I think they all addressed it, was the transfer of going from one auditor to another. That was really something that weighed on me as I was reading these, and quite frankly, they all did a really, really good job of explaining how it was a pretty simple process and everything along the lines there. So that kind of alleviated any thoughts on that. Not saying that has anything negative to do with our incumbent, but I don't, I think I'm a lot more open to any suggestions beyond that. So with that said, I'll open the floor.
If I may, what I'd like to do, some of these don't have numbers that I can make out on the rankings on the top. If I could get each commissioner to run through their numbers in order, going across the top of the page on each firm, and just give a shout out on each of those as to what number you rated them at, so I can have a little matrix here. We don't have a printout on all of them on what each person decided on. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure. Not quite sure. You want us to you want us to give you our numbers that we place each company as?
Yeah, I think I've got yours, Nancy.
The total number, right? Just the total.
Right?
The ranking number.
Oh, the ranking number, okay.
The ranking number,
Yeah.
that's all.
1 through
Yep.
whatever.
You know, 8 through 1.
Okay, do you want us to give you the ranking in order, 1 to 8, like that? Or do you want us
No,
to read
just
across?
each firm, because I've got each firm listed. I'm
Okay.
just, let's see. Some of them I've got here. You-
Okay, you want me to? I'll go.
Okay,
Ready? Okay, the first one I gave it a 6.
okay.
James Moore, I gave a 5. Wells Hauser, 7. Clifton Larson, 3. Oops, excuse me. Rivero, 1. BMC, 4. CS&L, 8. And Malden and Jenkins, 2.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, when you said, for instance, you gave Malden and Jenkins a 2, is that your 1 through 8 number?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not second in,
No,
8 is,
Okay.
8 is the highest number.
got it. So I gotta redo mine, because I ranked them in order of,
and,
I do believe we did say 8 is gonna be the highest number.
yeah, but when you,
Vice
when I
Mayor
ranked them at the
Andrews.
bottom,
Okay.
that's all I.
I'll be happy to go through mine. I have EFPR in the 4th hole, James Moore, 7th, Wells Hauser, 8, CLA, Clifton Larson is 6. I had Rivero, Gordner, 3, BMC at 2, CLS, 1, Maudlin Jenkins, 5. So basically, my top 3 were Wells Hauser, James Moore, and Clifton Larson.
And I'm ready when you are.
Ready?
Did you say great? Or-
No, I said
Go
ready.
ahead, okay, got it. The EFPR, I gave a 4. James Moore and Company, an 8. Wells Hauser, 3. Clifton Larson, a 5. Rivero, Gordimer and Company, a 2. BMC, a 1. CS&L, a 7. Malden and Jenkins, a 6. So my top 3 are James and Moore in the top slot, CS&L, and then Malden and Jenkins.
Okay, and if y'all would like mine, it's, EFP is number 2, Moore, number 8, Hauser, number 4, CLA, number 5, Rivera, 3, BMC, 1, CS&L, 7, and Malden, 6. So my tops are Moore, BMC, and, wait a minute, I'm wrong with that. Malden is 2 and CLS. Malden is 3, CLS is number 2. Oh, okay. 2, 8, 4, 5, 3, 1, 7, 6. If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
What I'm coming up with in looking at this is, James Moore is the top pick. CLS is the second to the top, and Malden and Jenkins is the third. That's what I see.
When you say CLS, are you talking about CS and L?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
It was a trick question.
Yeah. Well, there's someone named Clifton Larson,
No.
and I just didn't want to. I agree.
I have the same numbers, yep.
Could you go over those just one more time, double check mine?
Yes. James Moore is the top pick. You just want the 3 picks?
Yes.
CSNL is second to the top, and then Malden and Jenkins.
Okay, well, I have Wells at 22 points. That would put it above Malden.
That may be correct. Let's see.
Did I do my math incorrect?
3, 8, and 7, 15. 15 and 7 is 22, yeah. So Hauser's in third, I'm sorry.
22. I think Wells is in the third position.
Okay, I think I'm counting as each individual commissioner was voting.
Well, what did everybody give Wells? Let's do that. I gave
So
him
I'll go through them again. So the mayor gave 4. The vice mayor gave 8. Commissioner Hodges gave 7. And Commissioner Price gave 3.
Yep.
So that puts it at 22. Malden comes up to 19.
All right, then.
Okay, maybe we need some discussion on these then, and how we came up with those particular numbers.
For me, I thought my top 3 were very close. There was between Moore and Wells and Hauser and for CLA, not CSL, I saw a lot of similarities. Moore, while it didn't finish first, was very close to my first choice. I like their familiarity with the area. They do St. Pete Beach, and I got a rousing recommendation from the finance director over there, because he was used as a reference in the book itself. So I thought very highly of them. The Wells Hauser guys, I think that's more for me a familiarity thing. It's either big firm or little firm, and sometimes I think with a small city, a smaller firm is probably, we're a little less likely to get lost in the shuffle. And I've actually worked with them before, so there was probably a little of my thoughts went that way as well. So those 2, of the 3 remaining, those 2 are my top ones there. I saw some, not that there was anything wrong. I think CSL was a little bigger than I had wanted it. I think that's what I was, so. But yeah, so I'm fine with the 3 that we've picked. That's, and I think James Moore does stand out amongst the 3 that we picked, or, so that's kind of where I sit.
Well,
Yeah. What did you come up with then on the 3? I know Moore, I know, did you say Wells and Hauser is second? Third.
Third.
And second is CSNL?
Correct.
Well, I'll talk about why I picked Molden and Jenkins over Wells and Hauser, because the third place seems to be where we want to have the discussion. I thought the qualifications and experience of Molden and Jenkins was far superior. Of course, Wells Hauser, got an 8 on similar engagements and also on anticipated audit problems, because there shouldn't be any. They're very familiar. So, they did rank high in 2 categories, but the fees, I gave them a 1. The fees were, and I weighed that a little heavier in my head. On paper here, they're all equal, but that was one of the problems, in my view, with them being such a small firm and clearly a lot higher. Their fees are,
Actually, Commissioner, if you hold one second, does anybody how does this, the fees are, some people have it broken down, an audit fee, then a single audit, then a CAFR fee, right? Is this are we just looking at audit fees, or is this a combined number? I combined the numbers.
I combined the numbers.
Right.
And I figured that, that'll give me a good idea since
And when you see something single audit per program, if applicable, is it applicable?
Well, there are certain measures, if I can explain it. The single audit is usually an audit that's done for a particular grant purpose. Usually most federal grants, it used to be once you went over $1 million. I heard that amount has been raised recently, so I don't know what the cap is. But when you reach a certain amount on bringing in grant money, then it triggers an audit, and they usually call that a single audit. So it doesn't happen all the time. But I think just as long as you were consistent in how you did your process, and it sounds to me that everybody kind of did it the same way, combining them, I think you should be okay.
Yeah, what I specifically added up was the CAFR and their regular fee. And James Moore, it's a good-sized firm. It's got a lot of towns similar in size to us. They were substantially less, I thought. I think the CAFR we do every year anyhow, don't we? So it's got to be included into the price, more so than the single audit.
Correct.
I had picked Malden and Jenkins as my third, although I thought their fees were high. But since we go with the CAFR every year, their CAFR fee was substantially less, $2,500 as opposed to as much as $7,500. I know Wells Hauser is a good firm, but I also know they've done it for a number of years, and I think simply for the sake of having another auditor in here to look with new eyes on us, and to the fact that they were substantially more, that's why I had gone with James Moore and CS&L as my number 2 pick. And then 3 was Malden and Jenkins because of the fee, also because of their engagements. Islamorada, Leesburg, Longboat Key, Marco Island, Naples, the CAFR clients. There was just too many to even name. So obviously they've been around a while. They're a big firm, 320, 39 full-time on their audit staff. And the length of tenure of Mr. Salisbury, Mr. Edwards, Mr. Anderson, all speak well of them. So that was the main reason I had moved Wells down the list, and partially because they didn't rank well on their fees to us. So that's why I had them bump lower. And when we're in a year that we're watching the budget very closely, that had a big influence on me.
I also rated Malden and Jenkins high on the anticipated potential audit problems. They were, only, in my opinion, only two of these firms really addressed that.
Yeah.
Some of them just had a sentence, and I thought they told it like it was
Well,
in their proposal. They
yeah.
had a description of what they would do if there were problems and steps they'd take, and just little things like that.
Yeah, one other thing that really caught my eye on Malden and Jenkins, penetration testing. That's a part of this audit. They will do that. I didn't see anybody else refer to that, unless I missed it. But however they had it in their proposal really stood out. So that's something, that's a little bit of the bang for the buck that we're getting when we see that,
So my question is, since we came up with a total of 19, for, it's like Wells, are they one that we're going to consider doing again?
Actually, Wells had 22 and Malden came up 19.
Oh, they had 19? Oh, I had the wrong one.
See,
down
and
there.
So
Again,
so if we want to go straight with the
redo.
numbers,
Okay.
or because they're so close,
Yeah.
do we want to have the discussion? I mean, I'm sure we can, anything we want, we can pick 1, 2. We got 1 and 2 down.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah.
looking for the slot number 3 at this point, I believe.
Well, I guess, Tom, that kind of goes to you. What we don't want to do is I think once our votes are tallied, or do we have the ability to change them, or are they already, if they're in the, if we're done, right? I mean, we have our top 3 and we go from
Yeah,
there.
my suggestion to avoid any
Yeah,
type of
that's kinda
technical
what I
argument
thought.
to be made to challenge what you're doing is just to use the tabulations you've done
Okay.
and do it 1, 2, and 3.
Okay,
And by the way, Clifton is at 19 as well. So you got 2 tied for 4th. Malden is 19, Clifton is 19. So
Right.
you're 2 in the 4th position. So, but my advice to you is to do the 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay. So then I guess we've got, so the 3 are James Moore, let me get this right so I say it correctly, CS&L, is that how we're doing this?
yes.
Okay, CS&L and Wells Hauser. I guess it's up to us then to decide, do we want to make a decision today, or do we want to go through interviews? We're not required to do interviews, right? If we find one that stands out above the rest, we can start negotiations with them tomorrow, can't we?
I think, if I may, and Tom, that's what we were talking about at the beginning, I think you have to come back as the commission and make a decision out of those 3. So this committee recommends to the BOC those 3 names, and then as sitting commissioners, you all can go through and pick who you want, or ask for interviews, or whatever you'd like to do. Am I correct, Tom?
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't need interviews.
I think we're going to hear the same stuff that we're reading here, so.
Yeah.
And if Commissioner Hodges will indulge me, it looks like James Moore sits up here at 8, 8, and 7, and even Commissioner Hodges rated him as high as 5. They were far and beyond the top dog in this hunt, it looks like. So it would be my recommendation, I mean, somebody can make a move the other way, that we would recommend to the commission that we would go with James Moore.
You're going to recommend 3 to the commission, and then the commission will decide which one. So the motion would be to rank them 1, 2, and 3, and then you would list them what each one is. James Moore's number 1, CS&L number 2, and Wells number 3. So if you do pick James Moore, when you sit as the BOC, we'll begin negotiation process. And then if we can't work something out contract-wise, we'll come back to you and ask if number 2 is acceptable.
Perfect. Do I have a motion?
make a motion that we pick James Moore and Company as number 1, CSNL as our number 2 pick, and Wells, Hauser, and Schatzel as our number 3 pick for audit committee, for auditors for our finance department.
I'll second.
City Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Hendricks,
Yes.
Commissioner Price,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Chair Vice Mayor Andrews.
Yes. Okay, does anybody on the commission have anything further?
No.
Mr. City Manager?
No, sir, thank you.
Actually, I do have,
Okay. Go ahead.
in 4 years or 3 years, when this is done again, or 6 years, whenever the contract, whatever we do, I suggest, since while this is fresh on our mind, that we totally redo this into a 2-page and take out all these lines and, you know, make it cleaner for the next group that has to do this.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly, and I think, you know, I have no problem using a citizen committee to make a recommendation for us, as long as we do it the right way. I
Right.
think that's, you know, that's a great thing for them to go through.
Whoever
Yeah.
does it the
Right.
next time should not have to print 4 pieces of paper and tape them together in a matrix and not have them add up and various other things.
Yeah, I think we can throw that on a workshop in the coming months
Yeah.
here, and then have Patrick in here, and we can just, I think a simplified process is definitely the best way to do it.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
So the statute requires the next auditor selection committee to determine their own factors. They may be different than the factors that you've decided this time. And reading right from the statute,
Okay.
that the first thing they do is they establish the factors. So I don't think that you want to waste your time on it this time, because they may come back and say, I don't really like what they did,
Right.
you as the commission, and
Yep.
they may establish their own. So I think that you just may be spinning your wheels on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Trask. Okay, anybody else? With that said, the Auditor Selection Committee is adjourned at 2:29.
Hey. Well, thank you, guys.
A lot less painful than I thought it was going to be.
A lot less painful than reading all that, that's God bless the next, group. Y'all did a great job. Yeah. Thanks, Tom. All right, see you all on Wednesday.